was. And I had no idea what to expect from this book. Let me give you a brief introduction. It talks about two girls, Isa and Callum, that have moved to New York City. They don't have a proper visa. I think they only have a tourist visa. And they're just trying to get by. But the way they're doing it is they always go to a lot of parties and they meet a lot of people, some influential people as well. And they are trying to, find a work that would not pay officially. Now, I was interested in this book because it sounded like there would be some sort of lesson towards the end. I did not find it. Maybe it's just me. Okay. These two girls, I think they're 20, 21, 22. I'm not exactly sure. The lifestyle they are leading in this book was absolutely exhausting to me. Just constant partying and constantly trying to meet men that would pay for them. And the whole book is basically talking about I have lost count of those parties and of the names. I did not care about what is going to happen to these characters. Then there were arguments, and then they met different people again, and it was just so exhausting. And I did not have fun listening to this book. I did not. I think I would give it 2 stars because I thought that maybe there will be some sort of, not a better ending, but some sort of outcome from this, right? For example, I expected, this is a bit of a spoiler, but not really. I've expected one of the girls to be okay, you know what, I'm done with this lifestyle. I want to find some sort of direction, this is what I'm gonna do. But I don't know, that didn't happen, I feel yeah, I did not like this book, honestly. Yeah, it was maybe interesting to take a look into this lifestyle, because probably there are some people out there who actually live this lifestyle, right? I could never just thinking about all the parties and you don't even know where you're gonna stay maybe the next day, and I could never. It's my worst nightmare, because I'm introverted and I sometimes socialize, but almost every night, oh my, no, don't even, no. Have I mentioned that I wouldn't like this lifestyle? No. Okay. Anyways, so I thought, okay, this wasn't the book for me. Let's try something different. And I've listened to Psyche and Eros by Luna McNamara, and I've just started this book. So far, so good. It's talking about Greek mythology and the great love story of Psyche and Eros. I genuinely love this story. It's one of my favorite stories from Greek mythology, and I love Greek mythology in general, but this story is my favorite. It just has a lot of life lessons, I feel and I personally feel it talks about some topics that can be very relatable even today. Okay, something just fell. I don't know what happened, but so with Greek mythology, there are so many versions of different stories, and this is a retelling, so some details are a little bit different, but I feel like that's not really a big problem, and I would recommend it. I like the narration, and I do recommend the audiobook because it's from two POVs. It's from the POV of Eros and Psyche, and the parts are narrated by two different voice actors, so it sounds like an actual, story that these gods / humans tell. So I highly recommend it. By the way, Eros is the god of love and attraction and desire. You might be familiar with the Roman equivalent, which is called Cupid. So you probably have heard of that. That's where the story originated, and it's these days part of pop culture. And Psyche is a human, and I don't know how much I want to spoil from the story, because I know how it goes, because I know the story already. But Psyche is human, and she's supposed to be one of the most beautiful humans out there, and she's supposed to get married to a monster, and that's where the story kind of begins. I like it, okay? I recommend this story a lot, okay? And it has a happy ending, because usually Greek mythology is just full of violence and terrible stuff. By the way, I should mention that on my Patreon, I do have a tier where I have mythology podcast. It's not the only topic that I'm covering, but I have at this point a full podcast on Greek mythology and a full podcast on Roman mythology. These days I'm covering Norse mythology, so just wanted to mention that. Okay. Also, the next book that I'm going to listen to probably, and this would be, I don't know, maybe like Psyche and Eros is going to be the book of the month that I will talk about next time. But I'm also going to listen to Murder Your Employer, The McMaster's Guide to Homicide by Rupert Holmes, and it's narrated by Neil Patrick Harris, the man who played Barney in How I Met Your Mother. I don't know much about it, but it just sounds fun. It's in the category of mystery and dark humor, so that's something that I'm currently in the mood for as well. I like to switch between genres a lot, so I wouldn't get bored. Like the first audiobook I've mentioned was like friendship novel, that's what it was called. The second one was mythology retelling. This one is mystery and dark humor, and it says that it's from Edgar award-winning novelist, playwright, and story songwriter Rupert Holmes. It's a diabolical thriller with a killer concept, the McMaster's Conservatory for the Applied Arts, a fantasy academy laid out like a combination of Hogwarts, Downton Abbey, and White Lotus-style resort, dedicated to the art of murder, where students study how best to delete their most deserving victim. Interesting. like the most photographed destination of the town. And people would just come in, they can type whatever they want and they can leave, right? And if you're interested, again, I already mentioned twice, but I've read the confessions in an ASMR video. It was really interesting. But that's not the full book. There are also just little intersections where the author talks about the typewriter and some stories that happen with the typewriter, some funny stories, heartwarming stories. I really recommend it. It kind of reminds me that, there's just so many people out there that live completely different lives, and it was interesting to read what people had to say, what they wanted to immortalize on this typewriter, right? And one thing that is interesting is that I did not realize this, but over time the public would just kind of destroy these typewriters because they didn't know how to use them, for example, right? And people would donate typewriters to this bookstore, and so they just were constantly using more and more typewriters as time went on, which I thought was interesting. But anyways, I have looked up on the internet if the bookstore still exists, because it's mentioned here that a lot of the bookstores were closed previously, that people told them there's no point in opening a bookstore in modern society, right? It still exists. That's just heartwarming. I don't know when this book came out, but they've opened the shop I think in 2013 or something. So it still exists till this day, and there's probably still the typewriter that people can use. So I don't know, this book was so heartwarming, and some of the confessions were quite sad, of course. Some are just, I don't know, just watch those videos if you want, or, get this book, because like I said, there's much more to the book than just the confessions, and I've really, really enjoyed it. So just check it out if you want. I really recommend it. And you can pretty much read it in one sitting. It's really easy to read. Okay, next book. I'm still reading the Fifth Wave series that I've talked about previously. This one is adult sci-fi. I'm reading the Czech edition, and it talks about some aliens that have come and invaded the Earth in 5 waves. I am on the 3rd book. I kind of feel like this should have been a duology, but back then, I think this came out in 2013, every book had to be, every book series had to have 3 parts, so whatever. There is some plot twist coming, I can already feel it. My camera just died. I always get personally offended when that happens, every single time. I'm like, really? Anyways, so there are some plot twists as the story goes on. It's not really my favorite series, I'm not going to lie. I gave it 3 stars with the first and the second book. It's just the way it's written, and maybe it could be the translation too. That just doesn't exactly speak to me. Because I'll tell you why. When I'm reading in my mother tongue, right, which is Czech, I cannot stand when they use informal language when they're talking between each other. When, for example, teenagers talk between each other, they always use the informal language, right? Now, sense. It's just that I cannot stand it, right? There's just certain like style that I don't like in books, and this is just one of them. Yeah. So sometimes I would specifically choose to read a book in English so that I can avoid this, basically. Yeah. Anyways, let's move on from this. I'll talk about it next time anyway, once I'll finish it. And I can give you my full thoughts, because I am on page 104. And there's roughly 300 pages, so I'm in 1/3 of the final book. So, yeah. Okay. Next, and actually I'm not sure which book I will be reading next. I've got two options, okay? The first one is, okay, which one will I pick? I don't know. Okay, I'll just mention the two. First one is Hotel Magnific by Emily J. Taylor. This is supposed to be a story about a magical hotel that just suddenly appears. It's a very similar concept, I feel like, to The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I have really enjoyed that book. Also, similarly, the book series Caraval, which talks about magical carnival. It has the same concept. Now, it seems like the story will be about somebody that will get a job in this hotel. I'm not exactly sure. I don't know that much about it. The reason why I bought it is because it sounded just a little similar to Hotel Del Luna, which is a K-drama with IU the singer. That K-drama destroyed my heart and put it back, and then destroyed it again, and then made it whole again, just to destroy it towards the end again. I loved the K-drama, and I usually don't watch K-dramas a lot. I feel like I should. These days, I have been just watching sitcoms, and that's it. But it kind of sounded like a bit similar so far. I don't think there's anything about souls and ghosts. Basically, Hotel Del Luna is a hotel for lost souls. After they die, they go to this hotel, and then they go towards the other side. I watched that K-drama twice, most recently this year, but I watched it in a hotel in Korea, so there were no English subtitles. And yeah, I don't know, after I watched that K-drama, I watched the whole thing. After that, it required some sort of password. I feel like you had to like pay to keep watching, but it let me watch the entire K-drama. And I think I watched Emily in Paris, but I remember absolutely nothing from it. Like nothing. Anyways. Yeah, I'm talking more about the K-drama and not the book itself. But if you are into K-drama and you haven't watched this, what are you doing? We still talk about this K-drama with my friend 5 years later, since we watched it for the first time. Or 4 years later, I don't know exactly. Really good. It will destroy you, but it's really good. So we'll see. Maybe I'm kind of worried that my expectations will be way too high for this book, because I know that it will not be like Hotel Del Luna. I just bought it because of like the color scheme, and I can't stop talking about the K-drama, fantasy in the hopes that one day the true bride will be chosen and end the suffering. It sounds fun, and I feel like it might be just the perfect story that I will need, because I have been in a reading slump and just focusing on a story has been quite hard for me. I don't know why. I don't know, sometimes I do have just periods of time where I cannot really read properly, and honestly this whole year has been like that. It is what it is. I mean, I'm still reading, just not as much, and I go to bed really late, and then I don't have time to read anymore. I need to get better with that. But anyways, that will be it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you next time. And let me know if you have read any of these books, or if you plan on reading them, or if you have any other recommendations. They're always welcomed. Okay. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye, and good night. Good night. Good night. Good night. Good night. Good night. Thank you to Eric, Chad, and Saintger, and other lovely patrons and members for their support. Here are some other videos you might like, or you can check